of you. I would like to thank all of you for joining us today. I'm Maja. I'm the Chinese language director here in CIE Shanghai. I've been working with CIE for over a decade. This is my 11th year here working with CIE Shanghai. And before joining CIE Shanghai, I have been working as a Chinese language instructor in Salem, Oregon. Together with me tonight, we have our dear colleague from CIE headquarters, Karen, who is a managing editor for high school language and culture programs. Karen, would you like to say hi to everyone?
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm so excited to hear Maja talk about the program in Shanghai. It's a very popular one. I'm going to just try and answer questions in the chat room if I can, or add something, but I think that Maja will be the one leading the presentation and getting you all very excited for the summer.
Thank you very much, Karen. And also together with me today in our office, Shanghai office, we have Ms. Zhang Juan Laoshi, who is the Student Life Director here in Shanghai. She has been in charge of the Student Life Department in Shanghai for over 5 years, and she is actually a visa expert. So she will be here today to answer all the questions regarding student life, regarding such as your homestay and your visa. Zhang Laoshi, do you want to say hi to everyone?
Thank you, Ma Laoshi. Hello, everyone. It's very nice to meet you all here. And yes, I will be here to answer any questions you may have regarding visa, student life, host family. Feel free to throw your questions in the chat box to us.
Thank you, Zhang Laoshi. And I would also like to take a moment to introduce the rest of the Shanghai team. Dr. Steve Zhao, who is the center director here in Shanghai. He has almost 30 years working experience across university campuses in the US, who is very familiar with study abroad and business profession. So if you will be able to come to Shanghai, you will see Dr. Steve Zhao, who is also called Papa Zhao here in Shanghai. And we also have a Chinese language team to support your academic plans and to make sure you have a balanced academic and immersive experience in the city. And Zhang Laoshi has a student life team here to support your goals. You can connect all the students to all the resources like health, safety, and security resources. So that is Shanghai team. So we'll start the presentation now, and I will try to just pause my video for a while to make sure that internet connection will be working well here. So here you can see a map of China. Where is Shanghai? Has any one of you been to Shanghai before? Been to China before? Where is Shanghai? Shanghai is in the east coast of China. Actually, China has over 100 cities with a population of greater than 1 million. And Shanghai is a financial center of it all and has a population of over 24 million. That's about 2/3 of the population of Canada just in Shanghai. Shanghai is also one of the just a few special economic zones in China, which means it has a larger business focus than other cities in Shanghai. So that's China and Shanghai. Here are some top reasons to go to China. Think about what is your reason? Why do you choose China? Why do you want to choose China, Shanghai as a destination? Actually, in Shanghai, we have been hosting high school summer programs for the past 4 years. And here are some top reasons from our students, or previous students, to choose China and Shanghai as their destination for a summer program. While it definitely will be a perfect and most effective opportunity to immerse yourself in the environment, to learn a new language, or to enhance your language skills. But more importantly, this could be a life-changing experience for you to get to experience a different culture and expand your vision of the world. to see in person what China is actually like. And of course, to taste authentic Chinese cuisine. So come and find out, is there anything different than you could order in a Chinese restaurant in the US, other than sweet sour pork? Or you have fortune cookie in the Chinese restaurants in the US, but is the fortune cookie a real Chinese tradition? So come to China and find it out by yourself. Shanghai highlights. I've been staying in Shanghai for over 20 years, and I love the city myself. Shanghai is a metropolis that is heavily populated with people coming from all over China and all over the world, actually. It's modern, and super convenient, and very safe, where you can find traditional neighborhoods and shopping districts. You can also find, you can find bubble tea shops everywhere with hundreds of flavors that you could pick from. This is an international city where you can access tourist spots like traditional water town, preserved water town, as well as Disneyland by public transportation within an hour. You could visit all the museums, traditional streets, and see traditional Chinese architectures here. You may also experience all the entertainment a big city can provide. And it is very easy to navigate. We have 16 subway lines that reach all over the city, and an excellent public bus system that make using public transportation a convenient and inexpensive way to get around Shanghai. Also, cab fees are pretty low compared to the US, and there's an app like Uber, which is called Didi, that make taking cabs a good option as well. And all the city's touristic spots and other places of interest are reachable by subway and bus. Our study center is located here in Putuo district, as you can see in the map here on the left side. We are located in East China Normal University. The campus is 5 to 10 minutes walking distance from the nearest subway station. It is also the same distance away from Shanghai's biggest shopping mall, and 1 or 2 subway stations away from other shopping districts, with lots of dining options from traditional Chinese cuisine as well to Japanese, Korean, and other Asian cuisine to Western foods. So it's very convenient living here in CIE Shanghai Center in East China Normal University Putuo campus. So that is about the city and where we are. So here we can see what a typical week of our high school summer abroad program will be. You will have very interactive language classes in the morning. Typically starts from 9 a.m. in the morning, followed by a session of community conversation, which is called Chinese Moment here, in which session you can practice in situation right after your class. You can have oral practice in that session, interacting with local people. And in the afternoon, you will have daily cultural activities and excursions probably. And in the night, evening and night, you will have free time to explore and have fun with your host family and do your host family connections. So in general, in each week, we will have 5 days of classes, Monday through Friday, 15 hours of instructions every week. And in the weekend, you can have family connections with your host families who will probably take you out to explore the city. And during one weekend, we will have a weekend excursion. So that is a typical week you will probably have in Shanghai during the summer program. And the language learning in China, in Shanghai during the summer program. as mentioned in the beginning, we have an experienced language teaching team here to support your academic goals. And you will be placed into different levels. We will have 3 to 4 levels from beginning to advanced. You will be placed according to the pre-program language proficiency test results. The classes size will be quite small, so you will have nowhere to hide. It will be very interactive. So each one of you will have enough opportunity to practice in class. You will find the curriculum very practical and function-oriented. And most importantly, since you are here in China, in Shanghai, you will be learning the most authentic expressions. And the language pledge will help you to enhance your language skills in an immersive environment. So the language pledge is we will use Chinese only during your program, during your language classes. Even you are a beginning learner, do not be afraid of that. You'll pick up the language very quickly, and we will be here to support you. You will have all of us, the language teaching team and the student support team. So here is a language curriculum. And as I mentioned, there is a community conversation session, which is called Chinese Moment. So after 2 hours of your morning classes, there will be a half-hour outdoor oral practice session, which is called community conversation, Chinese Moment here. This is a session to help you to flex your Chinese skills, to build confidence and improve your speaking skills by engaging in conversation with locals around the town, in the campus, and in the nearby communities. So these scheduled activities happen in pairs, groups, or self-directed with the guidance of not only your language teachers, but also your program leaders, and always connected to new language learned in class each day. So you will have 2 hours learning the language, the grammar points, the new vocab. Then immediately after that, you will have opportunity to practice it, all the new language you learned in the class. That's a Chinese moment. Then daily activity and cultural activity and excursions. As we mentioned before, every afternoon you will have a cultural activity, which is also related to what you've learned in the morning classes. And this is really highly evaluated by our previous students. All activities and excursions bring to life an aspect of that day's lesson. And for example, you can see here in the left, we are learning that our students are learning Chinese martial arts through our Kung Fu Masters customized training. So the training will begin with the master's assessment of your current level of physical fitness and ability. And afterwards, they will teach each student the basic moves of Kung Fu and evaluate with the speed you learn and the steps. So some of the basic exercises, including a series of several different but very simple kicks, punches, or defensive moves. So that's an example of our daily activity. And we also have here, you can also find some other activities. One of my favorite, the theater workshop. So this is a very rare opportunity to express yourself through drama and Chinese language while acting out the traditional Chinese fable, Chinese story. The idea behind the method is that we can speak a foreign language activities. So we have drama will guide different and direct students to complete a traditional Chinese story. So that's 2 examples of our daily activities. And also we will have excursions. We are taking students out of the city, nearby to nature. For example, we day trip to Chongming Island to touch nature with peers in Chongming Island. There are a variety of farm activities such as digging potatoes, making Chongming cake, and making soy milk. So you can get a close taste the grain. Many interesting games are also designed for this one-day itinerary to bring everyone closer. So that's an example of the day trip, day excursion. Well, this is also a very highly evaluated part of the program, Homestay. So we have been share love and prepare meals. So you have, and the lunch will be in the campus. So we'll have Wi-Fi connection. Zhang Laoshi will be talking about that once you are on site. So here you can see a picture, Homestay xiaolongxia. So that's a traditional, most favorite that's summer. So you can see our students try xiaolongxia with the host family. Most of our students will keep connected with the host family after they went back to the US. Especially, that's a host family. Okay, this is a part strict. But what we want to see is, although we still have 14 days quarantine policy at the government and requirements, but at the same time, we feel very safe living in Shanghai. You have freedom to go to. So, evaluated. Without worrying about COVID-19 infection. So if you have further questions about the COVID-19 and current conditions, we can talk about that during Q&A session afterward. Okay, then follow us, Shanghai, CIE Shanghai, in Instagram and also WeChat. We have a WeChat account, so you can scan the QR code and follow us on Instagram. I can see some of you are chatting with us using the chat box, and now it's open questions. If you have any question, please let us know. Just unmute yourself. We will be here answering questions.
Can you talk a little bit more about the quarantine and how that works?
Sure. Zhang Laoshi, would you like to answer that question?
Oh, yes. Based on the current policy of the Chinese government, even people has get vaccinated, people still have to do the quarantine once you enter the custom.
So where are they quarantining? How does the quarantine work? Because if they're on, the program's only 4 weeks, right? And they're quarantining for 2.
Oh, sorry. You go ahead.
I'm just curious how the quarantine works. Like, where are they quarantining?
Once you enter the customs, there will be government staff there to place people depending on where you are going to stay in Shanghai, and you will be placed to the designated hotel by the government in different district of Shanghai. And it's 2 weeks for quarantine in the government designated hotel.
So are the students still doing the program during that 2 week of quarantine? I'm not sure I understand how the program would work if they're in a hotel quarantining for 2 weeks.
This is actually the current policy of quarantine. So we are still waiting for the updated policy by the government. So it might be different during summer 22.
I think the question is, are the children going to be there, have to be there 2 weeks beforehand to quarantine, and then they do the 4-week program?
So my understanding, and I could be wrong, but my understanding is that if this is a 4-week program and a 2-week quarantine is required, we can't run the program, right? So we need to wait and see for the restrictions to change in order to be able to run this program, because we want the students to have an enriching, successful experience. And so it would be without the quarantine requirement.
So if we were to submit the applications as if everything was going forward and then the quarantine was still in effect, then the program would end up getting canceled and the money would be refunded to us.
Correct. You would have the option to program change. So go to another location where there's not a quarantine, or get a refund.
When do you think that decision will be made as to whether the rules will change or not in time for the program?
I'm not sure, because I'm not involved with global operations where they have, so basically there's a team that meets every couple weeks with health, safety, and security, and in the different centers, and they look at the situation in order to figure out if we can run a program or not. So I don't know what's the sort of like the date of that decision for China. I don't know if the Shanghai folks know if there's a deadline or not. I would imagine it would be before the end of the year, but I don't know.
Yeah, as we are in Shanghai, we are paying close attention to the policy change, but we have, as of now, we have no idea. And I think once we get a better sense, we will let the headquarters know, and the decision will be made accordingly.
Yeah, it's very tough because things usually change, as we all know. This past year and a half, things change, and it's very hard to make plans. One has to be very flexible, just because things change. But we are monitoring the situation very closely always. So we all, we will I guess right now we're being optimistic and hope that that the restriction will be lifted, and we'll always inform applicants of what's going on.
Is there a way to stay updated, or will you send out emails, or is there a website that we can check that continually updates the status and whether there has been a decision or any changes in the regulations?
Yeah, I see somebody in the chat asking what would be the latest we would cancel. Would we wait until June? The answer would be no, June would be too late. It would have to be when we want you guys to book flights. Right? So we don't want you to book a flight if there's a possibility the program might be canceled. So, and that usually the flights, we like to do it in the spring. So I think the answer would be, the latest would be in the spring. And then if there's something, the website. So like as soon as the program is canceled, we email anybody who has opened an application. And then in the website itself, where the program used to be there, it'll either say canceled or it won't appear. But we, even before it appears in the website, we send email communications.
Hi, my name's Jenny. I wanted to find out about the host families. How are they vetted? Do they have children? You know, would they have children along with my child? And then also, are they compensated for hosting?
Yes, we have a big host family pool. Many host families have children and from a different ages, with different ages, and also they are host families with no children. We will send out a housing survey to you all, and you can choose whether you want the host family to have children and what age of the children. Some students would prefer no children of the host family, so the host family can focus on the student. So it will depend on your willingness, and we will be placed you to different host families.
Can you talk a little bit about what the application process is like?
You mean the host family or the
No,
program?
to apply to the program. I haven't actually looked at the application with my daughter, so I'm just curious what the process is like to apply.
Okay, you open an application and there'll be different tasks. One of them is the option to apply for a scholarship. There are two types of scholarships: a merit-only scholarship, that's 10% off the tuition, and there's a merit and need scholarship. That one is anywhere between 10% and 100% of the program costs. So if you want to apply for the scholarship, the deadline is January 14. So the sooner you do it, the better. There's also an option to apply before December 1st in order to get the chance to win a free flight if you want to participate in that. In the application process, there's different tasks, and important to know is that until you are accepted in the program, then you have 2 weeks to decide whether you want to confirm, and the way you confirm is by doing a deposit. So even if you open an application today and you do it, you're not obligated that you have to go to the program, right? There's always a chance to then decide whether once we tell you, you know, congratulations, you're accepted in the program, there's an opportunity then to make up your mind whether you want to commit, and you show that commitment by paying a deposit. And I don't know if that answered your question about applications. There's going to be on, I believe, on Thursday, in the virtual schedule, I'm going to put here, there's going to be a workshop on application. So I'm going to write it down in the chat right now. It's on Thursday.
So you had mentioned in the presentation that the class size is small. What is the maximum number of students would each class be? Like rough estimate from the past. Thank you.
You mean for each language class?
Yes.
We
Just
have
so that we get a,
yeah, thank you for asking. We have maximum of 10 students for each class. So classes will be quite small.
And how many total students are accepted into the program each summer?
We can't hear you, Maja, your audio.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I'm sorry, the internet here is kind of, I'm sorry. We have hosted a group of 50 students before in Shanghai for one session. So typically it will be around 30 to 50 students per session. I hope that answered your question.
Yes, it did. Thank you. I also have a question about, do the students all travel to Shanghai together from the United States? Like, do they all depart from like a gateway airport here in the United States and then travel back to the United States together?
Yeah, good question, Jenna. So there will always be the option of a group flight. A group flight means that they depart from, as you say, the same airport, and it's chaperoned, usually by the program leaders. So they fly together with the students. And there's usually, you know, more than one flight, group flight. So it's in different airports.
And what are the typical airports?
The local team will be able to pick you up from, pick the group up either from Pudong Airport or Hongqiao Airport. That's the two main airports in Shanghai.
What about in the United States?
So I don't know for Shanghai, but you know, usually it's the major airports. So LA, New York, I'm sorry, I don't know that information for Shanghai because we didn't run it this past summer.
Okay, thank you. I'm just wondering, we're in New York, but some other programs that we looked, they all flew out of LA. So, you know, if we had to fly to LA, that's an additional cost to factor in. So I was just trying to figure out if there was additional domestic airfare that we have to figure out in order to meet the group to fly to China together.
Mm-hmm. So the program cost does not cover the flight. So the flight is always something additional. And then, so if you're in New York, you know, you try to find the flight that would be the most direct. And we have a lot of students in the East Coast. So I want to say that usually one of the departure airports is in the East Coast, but I don't know. I don't know about this program. I apologize.
You just mentioned that the kids would get together and fly together under a chaperone, but then now you're saying that you're kind of on your own to get a flight. So it's a little confusing.
Okay, so what I mean by on your own, that means that the program cost does not cover flight. So that's separate.
Right. So then is there some way for
then-
people to organize that we're all going to fly together on this flight? Is that the
Yeah. So when we're ready to book flights, we're going to send an email and say, okay, let's think about, you know, this is a time to book flights. We like people to do it through FlightFox. FlightFox is a travel agency that has worked with us in the past year, so they have a lot of experience with students and with these flights. The advantage of FlightFox is that they will take care of everything when there are delays or anything, and they know which are the group flights. So through them, if you say, I'm going to the Shanghai program in this date, and then you live in X city, they know that you want to be in the group flight. They already know which is the group flight, and then they'll get you the flights that go from your destination to that airport where there's the group flights. You also have the option to find flights on your own. The disadvantage of doing that is that we don't have the communication with FlightFox during travel day, where they will know exactly what flight you are, what's the status, is there a delay or not, and can work with you. So our advice always is to book the flights through FlightFox.
So there's the option of booking on your own and going with a booking agency that you all work with.
Correct. And in either case, you know, we let you know which are those, you know, group flights, the chaperone flights.
What would you say is probably like the average cost of the airfare to Shanghai?
I don't
I
know.
I just
You
know
can
from
do
experience.
a very quick Google search. What city do you live in?
I mean, it would be JFK. It's New York.
Okay.
I mean, I could do that. You don't have to spend time doing it. I just thought maybe you had an idea of what the average price that people spend for the airfare when they're booking. I can look it up.
Mm-hmm.
And you
I'm
mentioned,
looking at in December. December is very expensive. It scared me. The good thing is that it's not in December.
and you mentioned the scholarships. Do the scholarships cover the cost of airfare at all? Can you get scholarship for the airfare too?
The scholarship covers only the program cost, so it does not cover airfare. In the scholarship webpage, we do have a section on fundraising. So students know how much scholarship they were awarded by, you know, early March. So there is some time to do some fundraising for, you know, for the rest of the cost. So up to $1,000 per round trip. Okay, somebody said it was $1,000. I want to say that it's probably more. I think it's one of the more expensive. Well, I guess we have programs in other places that are farther away too. But would say between 1,000, 2,000.
Okay, and so quick question on the language. Do you notice in your experience with running if students are newer, like who has more success, or is there an age group that has more success, like students that might be newer to Mandarin if they're native English speakers, or students who have had a couple of years of Mandarin, you know, may have, you know, get more out of the program? Is there a difference there?
It's really amazing how much students progress in 4 weeks. It's always astounding. And it's always motivation, right? The main factor of how much they will progress. I'm trying to think, so we administer a stamp test. That's a proficiency test so that we can measure, and they do it before they go to the program, and then they do it during the last week. And that's how we measure how much progress they've made and if the program is on track. We want them to progress at least one level. Usually one sees bigger gains in the more novice levels. And that happens in every single language. I don't know, Maja, if you have any insights about, you know, the different levels and how much students progress in each level. I want to say they all progress quite a bit.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I believe I totally agree. I believe all of them progress. But like for the beginners, it might be more obvious to see the progress, especially in terms of speaking and listening. So, but I would say that all levels of students made.
Oh, you're cut off again.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, I have a question. How much say do the students have over the cultural activities that they participate in? If they, for example, you know, our son really enjoys soccer and he would love a chance to be able to play soccer in China with kids his age. Is there like any kind of requests that we could put in advance with the host family as far as choice of cultural activities?
For host family, if you have any request or anything you would like us to know in advance, we will have a survey which you can, via which you can let us know. But for the cultural activities, can you help to understand your question? I mean, all the cultural activities are pre-scheduled. Theoretically, all the cultural activities are mandatory and for all the students. So they will be participating in every cultural activity.
Sure, maybe this might be better addressed with the free time activity then instead, if you know there are any choices there. It would be good to be able to, you know, be able to express what your own personal interests are, and that's why I was asking.
During the past years, our program leaders organized kind of like small groups of activities for students during the free time, and also we were very happy to see that, you know, they will make friends here, and they and their friends will have their own time to do stuff they would like to do. But we will give suggestions on site. I mean, for example, students will come to us asking about any suggestions. Some of them may want to go to the tea market by themselves, or some of them may prefer to do some shopping during their free time, and some of them would like to explore the local restaurants. So we will be giving suggestions. And actually, they have 3 weekends here, and one of the 3 will be scheduled, you know, because we will have a weekend weekend trip, which might take students out of the city. So they have 2 left, and our host families are so kind. For the past years, host families will take students out during those weekends.
Thank
If
you.
they would like to. I mean, if the students would like to.
I have a question, general question. How best to prepare the kids so that the 4 weeks comes is a successful experience as opposed to, you know, a blah experience. Like for them to get the most out of it. Like what's the best way to get them ready for this?
So is it Virginia that asked the question?
Virginia.
That's very, very important. And I think that's what makes CIE, I think, different from others, is that we put a lot of emphasis in the pre-departure period. So students are going to be enrolled in a Canvas course called Know Before You Go. And they complete this, and it has different sections on community, on academics, on culture, so that they know they're starting to think about what it is to be abroad and in a different culture and in different situations. And then we host kind of like these webinars, but more specific to when it's closer to the program, so that students can learn about what to expect when they're there, the travel portion of it. And I don't know if this is answering your question, Virginia.
It is, thank you.
And somebody asked, I wanted to ask Maja, that I saw in the chat, if a student took AP Mandarin, and AP is sort of like the advanced placement, so it's the highest level of high school for Mandarin, what level would they do in the summer program?
We've had students for AP Mandarin before, probably level 2 or level 3. So, but basically, we will have an oral interview here, and once students are on site. So, according to the pre-program language proficiency test result and the oral interview, we will place that student into the most appropriate level, and we will encourage the students who has taken AP Mandarin before to talk to us, let us know his or her situation, so we can better support their academic goals.
I'm just reading some of the questions in the chat. If we miss any, please go ahead and unmute yourselves or write in the chat again your questions. So one is, will we communicate with our host families before we leave? The answer is yes. If we do, how will this work? Will it be emails or like calls? So maybe you can address how when students are placed with families, how the communication works.
Oh, yes. Host family information will be provided to students 2 weeks before the program starts. In my experience, many students would like to choose to contact their host family before their arrival, many by email, and also firstly is through email. And in the email, the host family may guide the student to download WeChat, which is the most popular communication app in China. So it's very convenient for you to make calls or video, send messages. So actually many students would have downloaded the WeChat before arrival in Shanghai.
Yeah, and that's part of the preparing them, the pre-departure thing about what apps to download. Somebody was asking if a program got deferred last year, can it be deferred again? Yes. Yes. And we really, really appreciate your patience and flexibility with all the programs that have been deferred. I know it's really hard when a student is set on going somewhere. It's been tough.
Can you tell us the background about the teachers that the students would be engaging with? Because like in the United States, you know, most teachers are certified. So what level of, I guess, certification or what screening, or, you know, how do I know what the teacher, what their credentials are? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. So here in Shanghai, CIE Shanghai is located in East China Normal University, which has a Chinese language teacher training base. So we are cooperating the training base with East China Normal University. So we trained all their instructors. I mean, CIE Shanghai trained their Chinese language instructors. And if you have heard about the Confucius Institution in the US, we are the training base for those teacher instructors too. So we have a large pool of language instructors, and all our language instructors for high school program, summer high school program, will have a master's degree and or above. And each one of them has more than 3 years teaching experience with students from the US or Canada. So all of our instructors, even, you know, although all the Asian instructors may look very young, but they are all very experienced. So at least 3 years of teaching experience. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
I had a question. I saw on the website that the student can get college credits for the summer program, that there's an additional cost for that, which is very nominal. But is there anything that the students have to do extra or specifically required to do in order to get the credits, or just pay the additional money?
Yeah, make sure, I'm glad you mentioned that, because this is like a really great deal that you have, that for $150, which is what Tulane charges to do the transcripts, you get 4 college credits. So I would say definitely take advantage of that. There's no extra work. It's already a very rigorous program. The only thing is that you need to get at least a C. So there's a chance in the beginning to drop. So like if in the first week the student is failing, the teacher or program leader will probably advise the student to withdraw that option, because then Tulane will, you know, you don't want to have a failing grade from Tulane. But yeah, just get at least a C or above as the grade.
You just mentioned that the course is very rigorous. So about how much homework or after school activity would each child, you know, be expected to do?
Well,
Karen, do you want me to answer the question?
yeah, go ahead.
Sure. So actually, because as I mentioned before, a schedule for a day is quite intensive. Morning classes and afternoon activities. Activities are related to the morning classes. So students actually won't have written homework. They have only so-called family connection tasks. So after a whole day schedule, they go back to the host family. We will give like oral practice tasks, which they can practice with their host families. So basically, the students will have, each week they will have a project to do. They will be preparing for that, but they won't have written homework.
Okay, great. Thank you. I understand. You meant very active schedule as opposed to rigorous. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and the reason I mentioned rigorous is because for Tulane to give college credit, the student is expected to have a certain amount of hours of study. So that's the rigorous part, because they're doing 1 semester worth of language study in 4 weeks.
Can I ask, what are you looking for in a candidate? What are the salient features?
Yeah, I think that somebody has been asking a lot about priority groups, or what do we look for candidate for applications. I think there is a minimum GPA, so we need to look at the current transcript for school, and I think it's 2.5, the minimum. We are just really looking for students who are motivated and really want to do this. So it's not a, the scholarship portion is very competitive. So to get a scholarship, there's a lot of like competition. If your student gets a scholarship, you should feel very proud. Taking the scholarship apart, if not taking that into account, there really aren't many qualifications. So all students will get in the program, almost all students. So that's something you shouldn't worry about, like how many spots there are. Shanghai has a very large network of teachers. So if one year there's a lot of students, they can hire more teachers. So that way the small classes remain. So you shouldn't worry about, you know, if you will get in those 30, 50 spots. But for the scholarships, the student needs a teacher recommendation and answer 3 short essay questions, and which is good practice for the college applications. And we have an external review board that looks at the scholarship application. So it's nobody related to CIEE. And what they're really looking is somebody that really wants to have this experience, is passionate about the language and the culture, and wants to learn. So I think that's what the reviewers look for, those essay questions, and then look at grades. The teacher recommendation is not like a letter like the college require. It's a form they fill saying they agree the student would be good for the program. And
how far do the host families live from the campus where the classes are? And how do the students travel back and forth? I'm assuming public transportation.
Typically, it's host families are located in 5 to 30 minutes walking distance or public transportation, like by metro.
But then how long would the students possibly be on public transportation? So it'd be about a 5-minute walk to get to the public transportation, but then how long would they possibly be on public transportation?
5 metro station, like 15 to 20 minutes on the metro at most.
Okay.
to the person that was asking about getting a C grade, very few students do, because thanks to the program leaders. So the program leaders are US high school teachers that travel with the students on program, and they really provide a lot of support for the students, and they have weekly check-ins with them, and they see their grades. So if somebody is not doing well, not only will the teacher reach out to the student, but the program leader can also help out and figure out why, why are you not doing your projects? How can we help you?
Is admission or acceptance on a rolling basis, or is it just like the applications are due in January and then you make all the decisions after that?
So if you're applying for a scholarship, we start looking at it after the deadline. So January 15, we'll start looking at the scholarships, reviewing them, and sending out the letters, acceptance letters, late February, early March. For those students that are direct enrollment meaning they're not applying for a scholarship, that's in the rolling basis. And so some of them are already accepted.
Question about the age range of the students. Where do they tend to be skewed towards, juniors, seniors, or is it just kind of randomly all 9th grade, 10th, 11th, 12th?
And Virginia, you were asking about the age range. So scholarships are given to those that are freshmen, sophomore, juniors, and not seniors. So it depends in the program, like how many of them are with scholarships. So usually the most common are probably juniors. So sophomores and like who have finished 10th and 11th grade. But that varies every year and from, program to program. And I don't know if we've already mentioned that there is an alum discount. So if anybody knows somebody that already did a CIA program, it could be in any location, they can give you a referral link. If you use that link, you get $200 discount. And I will put the link of the webpage with the information. Just quickly looking at the chat, but I think we've answered all the questions.
Yeah. Thank you again for joining us today. So if you have any further question, you can shoot us an email. I will post mine and Zhangyan's email here in the chat box. Thank you very much. Good night.
Thank
So
you.
let us know if you have any further questions. We'll end the meeting soon. Thank you. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you, guys. this, yeah, I did one earlier. This one went a lot longer, which is good.
Yeah, good to hear so many questions from students and their parents.
Yeah, yeah, that's always good to hear questions.
Okay, I'll end the meeting if you don't have any.
All right. Have a great day, guys.
Have a good night.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.